Welcome to the next stop of the Drone Champions League in our Split 1 for 2023. I'm Matt Andrews. We're at the halfway point of the season. It's time to return to the wonderful location of Simitai and the Great Wall of China. 10 teams in the DCL, all competing in 18 matches, and when they are all finished, we'll know who the top 6 are. The top 4 will go straight into the main part of our knockout stage and our live finals, but the teams in 5th and 6th, they'll have to fight their way out of the elimination zone. If you lose a race while you're in there, you're eliminated from the entire tournament. The top 4 teams who are in the main round, well, they've got 2 lives. Lose one, you're in the elimination zone. Lose another, you won't be the split champion. Coming up ahead of us, a best of 7 as always. We'll start off with a 1v1, then a 2v2 and 2v2. All 4 pilots from each team will race each other in race 4. And then if it's not 4-0 to one team, we'll have 2v2s and a 1v1 to settle it if we need all of those races. And we may well do. Of the teams in the DCL, Raiden are the reigning world champions, and X-Blades, Quad Force 1, China Dragons and STT Perpetuum Coin are the teams we know well from previous seasons. The other 5, they're the newcomers who are trying to fight their way to those split finals. As you can see, those newcomer teams, though, are the bottom half of our leaderboard at present. Currently, it's tied at the top between Quad Force 1 and X-Blades. They're absolutely neck and neck on match wins and also on the heat points from those individual races in the best of 7s. Coming up today, Mach 1, the all-female drone racing team. They are Natahova, Labeba, Steph FPV and Hologram. We've always had women pilots compete on other teams in the DCL, but this is the first year they've put a team together. On the other side, it's Raiden Racing, the 2-time reigning world champions who are coming for this matchup with Longcat, Vincent Mayans, Costa FPV and IQ0. Mayans, the standout performer for the team with 23 race wins to his name already. I said we're returning to the wonderful location of the Great Wall of China. Here is the track we have for them called Time Flies. Starts off with that 360 and then under that pagoda gate before you head to the canal, through 2 Torval gates, under a bridge, and then start to make your way through some streets. There are 4 DCL gates, 2nd and 3rd. The 4th one's on this rooftop here. And then you go back through a right angle turn, and here you corkscrew this gate and then come out through the 3rd part of it. Head back over the river again. There's this awkward ladder here. Go through, come back out the opposite direction. A little bit of a slalom. 2 DCL gates before you head up to this wonderful tower where you're going to fly around it in a big left-hand rising curve and then dive down through this angled gate back to the canal again. Then you're going to rise up over this rooftop and look for the dive point under a bridge before we come to what we call a reverse split S. You go round that pylon, over the gate and back through it. Then there's just a couple of more turns here back into the old town. Make that Ascensio gate and go on to your next lap or into the finish gate. Let's go racing! Mach 1 against Raiden. It's going to kick off with a 1v1 as always. This one's between Steph and Vincent Mayans. Steph in the light blue for Mach 1, Vincent Mayans in the yellow for Raiden Racing. Let's go on board with Steph as she completes that first turn, comes under the pagoda and chases Mayans to the river through the pair of Torval gates, under the bridge. Direct route to the streets opposite, slightly awkward turn there, a little bit angular, not very smooth. And now into this corkscrew, you can see how Mayans is approaching it there and starting to pull away early in this race. Very good continual curve racing from Mayans. It's quick and it's smooth, and he's starting to leave Steph behind over the trees. He'll fly and up to this tower. Bit of an early pre-turn meant his route around the top of it wasn't quite so smooth. He was a little bit maybe too tight for the tower, and he slacked off a little bit to make sure he made it. Perhaps going quite aggressively at the start of this race. Maybe too much. There's the reverse split S out through that DCL gate. And then a couple of street turns, the Ascensio gate here, and lap number 2. Steph, a few seconds behind now. She's just starting lap number 2 here. Let's see if she's racing a little bit more smoothly now. That's a good approach, over and back out through the pagoda. Meanwhile, Mayans is attacking this like his World Championship life depends on it. Here's his corkscrew. I don't know how he found his way out of that. It all vanished in a blur. That was incredible technical flying. He's giving no quarter here at all, as you would expect. He's 6 seconds ahead of Steph already. His route around the tower, a little bit smoother that time. Here's his dive down through this inclined gate towards the river again. One DCL rooftop gate, then there'll be the turn for the bridge. And then here we go, around the pylon and then back through the DCL gate. You can split S it, you can go directly over the top and back through, or you can take more of a curve around it, as you saw him do there. Slight bit of adjustment for Mines as he makes his way onto lap number 3 with a 7-second lead. Finding his way back towards the canal, Torvald Pair, no problem for him. This is based on the exact replica of the real-life town of Simatide next to the Great Wall of China, where we raced for real with our real-life racing series back in 2018, pre-pandemic. They wouldn't let us create a course quite as daring as this and put gates all over the top of extremely old buildings and pagodas and towers, such as the one coming up. Mayans, are you showboating a little bit with a roll on the way up there? That's a little too much. A 10-second lead, but even so. Down to the river. Over a gate that would definitely not be allowed. Well, we can do it virtually. Here's the final parts of the turn in the old town. Mayans goes through the last few gates here. We'll go through the Asensio gate and into the finish with the first point of the day for Raiden Racing. Steph is just going to come home now. That one was always going to be a huge challenge for Steph, as Mayans is currently the second highest scoring pilot of everybody in the DCL. You can see his aggressive start there. Got ahead of Steph out of the blocks and then stayed there for the rest of the 3 laps. It wasn't slow by Steph though, as you can see. Aggressive cornering. Tilting full pitch forward to get as much speed out of this as she could. But Raiden has been flying with Vincent Mayans for a long time now, and he has helped them win both of the previous World Championship titles. He's been right at the top of our leaderboard, so he is a very difficult pilot for anyone to catch. Let's see Steph around the pagoda and then coming out tight. That looks difficult. It is. Vincent Mayans made it even tighter than that. So Steph returns and Vincent Mayans in the 2v2, where they're joined by their teammates Labeba and IQ0. Out of the blocks and around the first turn. 2 Raiden drones just ahead of the 2 Mach 1 drones for now. Mayans in the front, as you might expect after that first race. We're on board with Steph, who wants to catch him this time. Looks like she's a little bit closer to them, but that turn again just a little bit hesitant, and the route to here nowhere near as smooth. In fact, Steph has been caught by Labeba, her teammate, and she finds her way out through the pagoda. Labeba just fractionally ahead of them, but the Raiden pilot's a little bit ahead of both of them for now. Mayans has left IQ0 behind after IQ's had a bit of a problem with one of his turns. Let's go on board with him around the tower. Very tight. Just saw Labeba in his vision as he was completing a turn and she was gaining on him from behind. Under the bridge and making our way towards the last stages of lap number 1. We see both of the Raiden drones make that reverse split S. Come round this long turn here. The Asensio gate is looming for them there and on to the next lap. Mayans with a 0.7 of a second lead over IQ and then 3 seconds over both of the Mach 1 pilots at the moment. But look how quickly IQ0 is flying, trying to catch his teammate. Gained on him slightly there, but oh, the recovery had to be quite wild. Now to probably the most difficult part of the course. There's the corkscrew, and then you've got to turn and come out very sharply. It was very tight. I think it was too tight. I don't think he made the pylon exit. He's done so now, and Labeba has caught him. As a result, IQ went back and fixed his mistake. But he's got both of the Mach 1 drones for company now. Through the slalom, Labeba trying to catch him. On the climb up, gaining on him all the time. Only 0.4 of a second. Now 0.2 of a second between these pilots. Labeba making the dive down. IQ just with a little bit more speed and just over. Labeba against IQ in a race for second and third here. Mayans 5 seconds out in front of everybody is surely going to pick up the point for this race unless he makes some mistakes. But let's see what Mach 1 can do against Raiden's other pilot as we go on to the third and final lap. And Labeba aggressively attacking that. It's not quite smooth, but neither is IQ's flying. Nevertheless, he is starting to pull just a little bit away. Here's Labeba, still can see him in front. There's a better turn than Steph was doing earlier, but it's a rocky recovery after that like we saw IQ do earlier. Into the pagoda, great approach onto that, but slightly hesitant around the middle of it. She gained on the start, lost that time again on the middle. Through the ladder, not a problem. 1 and a little bit seconds to go between Labeba and IQ. He's just stretched a little bit further away. Meanwhile, 7 seconds in front of all of them. Mayans is making his turn back under the river and heading to the old town through the reverse split S. A few more gates to go for him. It's 1 point for the winner of all of our heats, and that's another one for Mayans. IQ will be heading home and trying to stay in front of Lebeba, which I think he's going to manage to do.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Okay, Costa. We got this. We got this. Yeah, let's go.
Costa and Longcat warming themselves up for their 2v2, which is coming up next. Mayans with another point for Raiden. What an incredible season he's having. His third incredible season in a row, to be honest. IQ, early on, trying to catch him on the start of lap number 1. IQ at this point is within 1/10 of a second of his teammates. That gap extended over the course of lap 1 and halfway through lap 2. There's that little wobble he made on the straight. And coming up here is the mistake he made. Completed the corkscrew, but came out too direct. He came out on the left side of that pylon as we're looking at it. Needed to be on the right side, which is where Mach 1 got a chance to race with him. Probably quite a surprise seeing a drone coming the opposite direction towards you on a racetrack. Lebeba was close. There you can see her chasing him towards the canal. Slightly different route for her, just coming a little bit more directly into the turn than IQ did. At this point, IQ managed to stay away. Lebeba coming in third behind him, whereas this man, Mayans, gets yet another point in his record. So their other two teammates appear for the other 2v2 at this stage. Natahova and Hologram against Costa and Longcat. Mach 1 had, I think, a fractionally better start, but Raiden just trying to roll out in front of them at the moment. We're on board with Hologram, who we've seen in the DCL in previous seasons. She's chasing them across the canal early in the first lap, with a bit of a gap opening up not just in front of her, but behind her, as Natahova has had a terrible start to this race. Costa and Longcat both going around the pagoda gate, popping in and out of each other's vision as they do, into the ladder. Very, very close, just 0.2 of a second between the two pilots for Raiden. They'll head towards the climb. Hologram has lost a little bit more ground on them. Natahova is definitely not in the picture as of yet. On board with Longcat, chasing his teammate Costa down to the river. Longcat's the captain of the team, as he has been for a few years. Brilliant pilot. In past years, though, it's been a lot closer between the Raiden pilots in terms of scoring, whereas it has to be said, Mayans is having the racing season of his life so far, and the rest of the Raiden pilots aren't scoring as many. But of course, if you've got a teammate like Mayans winning races, then you might often have to come in second. Longcat doesn't want a second place here, though. 0.6 behind Costa as they're coming around the rooftop turn. On board with him, into the pagoda, over the top. Oh, finding his way out through the middle of it, through what is the tightest line you can do, but very difficult. Oh, but the ladder, oh, he's hit the second rung of that. That sent him a couple of seconds behind Costa now, and a little bit closer to Hologram, but she's not really gaining on him otherwise. Costa's route around the tower was a little bit pointy. Not quite smooth. Longcat making the angled turn there. He's gained a few tenths on his teammate Costa. In past years, we did have 4 points for the winner and 3 for second and so on. But as I mentioned earlier on, it's just 1 point for the winner of these races now. So as long as it's your teammate, that's what counts. But all of these pilots would like to be that one who's the winner, of course. On board with Hologram. Now let's see what she can see as she goes on to the third lap. The gap is 7, going on 8 seconds to second place now. But her flying is nice and clean here. This is all good. The route through the Torval Peril on the canal looked very neat. Meanwhile, Longcat is out through the tightest line in the pagoda with no problems there. What about the ladder? This caught him earlier. Second rung has caught him again. Oh, he's swinging all over the place, trying to recover very low on the slalom, but he's caught the wall. Ground curb, I don't think I've seen anyone hit that. Costa, meanwhile, has parked it on the tower. Reset, recovered, and is flying back down again. Longcat would surely have passed him if Longcat hadn't made his own mistake. What a mess by the two Raiden pilots there. Not even under that much pressure, but showing a lot of mistakes on this track, which gave them a few headaches on the opening race of the season when they started defending their two-time title, and their first race was against China Dragons, who beat them here. Let's take a look at Hologram's finish. Not too shabby, little bit of corrections going on, but Costa gets the win. And Raiden go 3-0 up in this best of 7. Right from the beginning, he and Longcat were close. Right now, it's 1/100th of a second between the pair of them. Neither one really getting away from the other until the second lap. And here's Longcat's route out through there with no problems, but the ladder is coming for him. And that's where he just bounced off that upper rung. Not too bad to recover from that one. Not as bad as the second crash he had a lap later. Now this tower for Costa actually caused him 2 problems. On lap number 2, he just clipped it. Just got a little bit too tight on the inside, bounced off. Whereas on lap number 3, parked it on there, caught the underside of one of the overhangs. That left him on a reset. And his route down from there was a little bit slower, but he was still in the lead over Longcat after that ladder crash again for him. So Costa comes in and gets a point for his tally. Now it's the DCL Big Heat. All 8 pilots racing at the same time. Mach 1 have to win this race. It's a solid start from Raiden. We'll go on board with Steph, but her teammate LeBaba is in trouble. Yeah, you can see LeBaba laughing it off. Top right of your picture as she reaches out for the reset button. At the moment, all of the Raiden pilots out in front. Natahova and Steph and Hologram doing the best they can for the chase now. Over the top, and Mines, it looked hesitant, like he didn't quite have the rhythm for it, and that has gone very badly for him. And straight after that as well, the Pagoda was difficult. The gate after that he should have made. Instead, he's got 2 blue drones from Mach 1 in front of him. Now it's just Steph, and he's chasing her towards the tower. He's just managed to get past Natahova, but she's right with him. His teammates out in front at the moment. But here's Mines, look, with blue Mach 1 drones everywhere to be seen, in front of and behind. There's Steph, and he's charging after her now. It's a little bit of a rematch of the opening race of the series. Mines just sneaks inside Steph on the reverse split S, but she's on the inside and then the outside of the 2 following turns. We go into lap number 2. Oh, Steph, so early on the pre-turn. Oh, it's messed up her approach for the pylon afterwards. I thought she was going to catch the tunnel at the start of the lap. She didn't quite, but the route after that wasn't where she wanted to be. Oh, let's put Natahova in front of her. Meanwhile, out front, Costa is crashing into the Pagoda. The Raiden team perhaps getting a little bit overconfident and having a bit of a mess on this 4th heat. Still a few seconds between all of them and all of Mach 1, but we're only halfway through this race. Longcat is down at the tower again. What is happening for the black and yellows? If Mach 1 were closer, they could try and capitalise on these mistakes, but the gap is just a bit too big at the moment, although Hologram is a little bit closer to Longcat than she was. Let's take a ride with Costa out in front as he pre-turns very early for the start of the 3rd lap, but makes all of those corners work. It's very, very tight, confident, aggressive and quick flying for Costa FPV, for Raiden Racing. Oh, he almost overshot the straight line section, though. It's almost like these difficult obstacles, they're pretty okay. They're showing us some amazing tight flying. And then on some of the simpler parts, yeah, just having a few bumps. Costa still out in front. Saw the Mach 1 drones racing across the canal in front of him a few seconds ago, but they are a few seconds behind. He's on his 3rd lap. He's leading Raiden down back towards the canal. We've had previous racing series where Vincent Mines has won every race, 4 out of 4. But I think Costa's going to make this 2 for himself. Only a couple more turns to go. And it's home for Raiden. He won't be pleased with it. I don't think any of the Raiden pilots will be entirely happy with their performance on some of the parts of this course. But a win is a win, and it looks like it's a clean sweep for Raiden.
Yeah, that's it.
Look at that time, 2:51. Wow. I'm slow.
You suck.
Yeah, I
Tell
suck.
yourself. You suck.
Yeah, I suck.
Apparently he sucks. He won't be happy with his run. Costa will take the point. Let's see what Mach 1 were doing. Here's Hologram with everybody all around them earlier on, leading the charge at some points for Mach 1. Strong flying here. Natahova and Steph in front of her aren't hanging around either. Now here's a lesson in how to recover. Watch Vincent Mines here. This is when he gets caught out in the middle of the Pagoda Gate and a pylon. Then, for good measure, he hits a pillar and a tree. Recovers out of that with such speed, though, that he manages, amongst all of that mayhem, to overtake Natahova. Let's see it from her teammates' view, Hologram, as they're coming out through the Pagoda Gate with no problems. There goes Mines off to stage left after he hits the pillar, but he's coming back to fight here in the ladder, and look at his route, it's just straighter through the slalom, less of a swinging turn, and a little bit quicker as a result. Here he is chasing Steph in that rematch of race number 1, and you'll see for the reverse split S coming up, he's just a little bit tighter on the inside, and his route out is so sharp. Steph around the tower. This is really good flying from all of Mach 1's pilots. It's just the 2-time reigning world champions showing us that, yeah, they can make a few mistakes, and that is uncharacteristic of them. but they are super, super fast for anybody to try and race when it's all going well. Here's Longcat on his way up to the tower on the second lap, and he hits the second gate. That puts him onto the roof of it there. Then a little bit of a swinging around recovery to try and work out where he is. Completes the third gate over the top and heads down. It looks like he misses a gate, but that's the lower one that he's already flown through. That's Steph's early pre-turn and what happened afterwards on lap number 2. Just a little bit too eager coming through the tunnel with a Raiden pilot in her sights. Natahova joined her and they flew along side by side. But at this point, Costa manages to string together the latter stages of lap number 3 and finally gets a point for the black and yellows. Mach 1 were in the contention and we saw some really good flying from them. You can't take that away from them. But even with some mistakes by Raiden, they still managed to win the series as Costa made it home and makes it 4-0. In came his other teammates. You heard Longcat earlier bemoaning himself about how far behind he was. But altogether, it's a win for Raiden Racing. So 2 wins for Vincent and 2 for Costa. The Mach 1 team, their pilots used to race on many of our other teams in the DCL, come together to form this super women's team, but left behind today. Some other teams got left behind too. STT Perpetuum Coin roundly beat Alpha. X-Blades beat Haven. Quad Force 1 got a 4-1 win over the China Dragons. That 1 is going to be important. And Cyclone got their 4-0 win over the DCL Wildcard team. Why is that 1 important? Because it means that X-Blades are now the leaders, having lost 1 fewer race due to their 4-0 win. Raiden remain in 3rd, and then STT Perpetuum Coin were a point behind China Dragons, but with their win today, they've scored that point and replaced China Dragons into 4th place. Cyclone Racing and the DCL Wildcard team were both tied for 6th, but Cyclone beat them 4-0, so that's now a gap opened up. And remember, 6th place goes to the split finals, 7th doesn't. Race day 11 will see us return to Oil Bando with Haven and Alpha, Quad Force 1 against Mach 1. The wildcard team could put up a good fight against China Dragons and mess around with their placement. Raiden and X-Blades are the teams who have fought for the World Championship title the last 2 years. That's always a thriller. And STT Cyclone could be really close. We're the Drone Champions League. I'm Matt Andrews. Thank you for watching. Join us for Race Day 11 and we'll see you in the skies.